Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Premodern Showdown Series 3, Episode 10. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined tonight by special guest Bryan Manolakos. Say hi, Mano.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Whip.
Yes, thank you for filling in for Flint. So Flint's busy with some real life things, and has we've asked Mano to step in the booth for his place, and he, I'll say happily, I don't know if that's true, accepted.
It's
So
it's pretty happy. Yeah, real life is the worst. Sorry, Flint. Sorry you have to deal with all that.
yeah.
Sucks.
So we're looking at a schedule that is a little bit different than our normal PSS schedule because of our second match. First, we're going to have Aaron versus Brian. That's a pretty normal thing. But then we don't have a second PSS match because of scheduling issues. Again, real life things have gotten in the way. How crazy that we have lives outside of Magic. But what we will be doing is we have a recorded pre-modern Super Gauntlet match that Mano and I will be doing some commentary over. So still going to be two matches of Magic for everyone tonight. Just will be a little bit different than what maybe you're used to seeing if you're tuning in every week. All right, so we'll start things off by looking at the bans of Aaron and Brian. So the three decks that Aaron has brought to the PSS are Survival Elves, Sligh, and Esper Stiflenut. Brian has banned the Esper Stiflenut of Aaron, so he can't bring that. Brian has brought four color Terrageddon, also Survival Elves, and also Sligh. So pretty similar lineup between these two players. Aaron banned the Sligh deck out of Brian. So looking at these kind of available options, so Amanda, you said you kind of did like a little a grid in terms of making a prediction of what you think the players were gonna to bring. Did you want to discuss that at all?
I mean, so I tried to. I built when I was in the PSS, I would do this the last time, do this every week and build a little matrix of my deck and his deck and what I thought the matchup percentages are. And usually there would be a somewhat dominant strategy or something. At least I could eliminate one deck that I didn't want to ban or whatever. This time, everything felt very close to 50-50, and or I'm not familiar enough with these matchups to know if one's like 54-46 or is it 49-51. And everything felt very coin flippy. So that exercise did not yield much, at least for me. So I really was not sure where to go. Um, and so I don't know. The only thing maybe that I thought was that Stiflenut seems to have an incredible matchup, at least game one. So probably overall the matchup against Sligh. So I might have banning that does make sense just to avoid having that matchup be a thing.
Sure.
But other than that, I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, and I guess from what I've heard, and I haven't experienced it as much, Sligh should have an edge against elves, is what I've been told. Especially when I think Aaron has like four lava darts in the sideboard. So I think it makes sense if Brian's afraid of bringing elves, he's at best 50-50 for a mirror, and then if he thinks he's disadvantaged against Sligh. Though I don't know how well Terrageddon matches up either against elves or Sligh. It seems kind of tricky for either of those. So, but let's go figure out what decks they actually settled on. And Aaron has selected his tried and true Sligh deck. So really solid, consistent, aggressive red deck. There's really not any bells and whistles with Sligh, but it definitely will get the job done. Aaron has his trademark Urza's Bauble. That's something that he's kind of piloted to success and will always
What's your honest 15-second assessment of baubles?
I am not sold on them. I haven't played Sligh a lot, even since like Aaron has started playing these, but
Yeah.
I am not sold. But I don't know.
I'm also not sold. I'm not super confident in that. I'm definitely willing to be wrong, but gun to my head, I would not play baubles right now. But I'm not.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is.
Not
Like
super
mine is
confident.
more of a theoretical base, and I
Same.
understand the reasoning for it. And a few times I've seen it in practice, and it wasn't my favorite. But I'm not going to say that I have like any data or anything to back it up.
Nothing's definitive. It's
Yeah,
just if you're putting guns to our heads right now, we're
yeah,
probably not playing baubles.
yeah.
But that's
So,
about
but
that's about all. Okay.
no knock on Aaron. That's just not my opinion. And so okay, and he will be up against the four color Terragun deck. So this list is looking to. It's kind of like a mid-rangey thing, but it doesn't have a lot of like controlling elements. I guess there's no like lockout kind of thing. I guess Armageddon against some decks is like a big haymaker, but in this matchup, it is not really anything that is something that Aaron's worried about. So the plan of attack from the Terragun deck seems more difficult in this matchup. So I think Brian kind of has his work cut out because I guess I'll go over to the key cards right away because I'm not exactly sure like what Brian is looking to do in these games. Like the sideboard, there's a Circle of Protection red. That makes sense. But like the first game, I don't know what he's like. What is his path to victory? Like,
I assume he's going to Enlighten Tutor for Zurin Orb a lot. That seems like a pretty good play.
Oh, that is something I completely overlooked. So that should be on my key cards. Spoiler, it's not. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Yeah, that card seems like very very important. So, okay. And when I look at the red deck in this matchup, it's like all the cards just seem the same. It doesn't seem like anything like really is good. It doesn't seem like anything is bad. So I just put like the cards that are consistent sources of damage. So if Jackal Pup comes down on turn 1, I think Aaron's happy because he'll probably get to attack 2 or 3 times with it. And Grim Lavamancer, even if a creature comes down later, he'll probably have fuel in the graveyard to activate it. So that's what I put. But I mean, I think I could put any of the cards up here for that the Sligh deck wants to see. And then I put Mox Diamond out of the Terrageddon deck because it will speed things up, but then it should be Zurin Orb. That makes sense. It's like that is the one card that will give him a little bit of breathing room and can buy him a lot of turns. And then out of the sideboard, Circle of Protection red, and there are Enlightened Tutors to go get it, and that will change the dynamic of the game, being able to get that. So if you had to guess who you think's advantaged here, which deck would you pick?
I mean, my gut says Sligh a little bit, but that main deck, I mean, he's synthetically playing 5 Zurin Orbs, right? I mean, gaining 8 or 10 life is enormous against Sligh. I think that card alone might be worth like 5 to 10 percentage points in this matchup. So like, I think honestly with that card, it's basically a coin flip. Without the Zurin Orb in the main, I think Sligh would be like, whatever, 55, 57% favorite, something like that. But I think as it stands, we're extremely coin flippy.
Yeah, the thing that I feel is like the Terrageddon deck is kind of dirtily, and the Sligh definitely punishes decks that do that. But Zurin Orb does hold a lot of weight. All right, so I will let the players know that they can get started. And I will throw up the prediction poll for everyone. We have Aaron on the play, and obviously he's chosen to play first. So
feels like a pretty important die roll to win.
All right, so let's see. Start a prediction. I have to remember I can only put up Aaron's first name, and I there's a couple times. The first time I did it, it told me it's like, this does not meet our standards. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And then
I know. I remember watching one of the replays of the PS because it was the last PSS you did that in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he has his key card off the bat, right? Mountain into Pap. Pretty good start.
Yep. Okay. Let me get life totals ready because those things are going to change pretty quickly, probably. And let me pull up the card fetcher so that everyone can look at Jackal Pup. But everyone probably knows what Jackal Pup does.
If you don't know what Jackal Pup does, what are you doing watching the stream? Come on.
Yeah. Maybe they're new to Magic and they're like, hey, I heard about this really good Magic production.
I heard this is the best content on the entire web.
Maybe they listen to a podcast that plugged it. So who knows?
That's a fair point. You're right. You're absolutely right. Put it up just in case. Oh, Jesus Christ. So what actually just happened here? He just first turn fetched for tax and then played Zurin Orb?
Yes.
Jesus. All right. I mean, now this is enormous, right? Brian's a pretty big favorite here, I think, depending on or not big, but like he's definitely favored now.
Are you sacking this? I guess, okay, never mind. I was going to say, Aaron played another land. I was going to say, if Aaron stayed on 1, would you sack your planes to...
It depends on what else is in his hand, if he has a diamond or whatever, but I would seriously consider it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. This seems really, really rough for Aaron right now. Like he has no main deck artifact hate, right? So this is just going to be out there forever.
Yeah. Well, he's got 2 Jackal Pups, so it's definitely really rough.
Right. That's like the one thing sort of keeping this close, I think. Pup into Pup is a big deal. Is Brian playing 2 main deck engineered plagues?
Yeah, I think that was kind of a metagame hinge, and I do like that a lot, especially in the Premodern Showdown series, because you have the ability to kind of pick your decks, and you can say like, oh, if I'm going to be potentially playing against a deck where engineered plague's really good, then I will lean to pick my Terrageddon, or it will draw bans and whatnot. So I do like that hedge. Like, I don't know if that would be a list that he would bring to like a blind traditional tournament, but I feel like that adjustment can give you an edge in something in like our Premodern Showdown series format with the bands.
I completely agree. Because of that, and also because these are all tier 1 decks. This is people are going to be playing a lot of elves, a lot of goblins. That card is going to be potent just in a vacuum in this meta. Let alone with all the weird band stuff that it does for your algos. So we don't know what he named with Meddling Mage, but literally Tax Orb into Meddling Mage is the absolute nut start, I think, for him, other than like Mox Diamond shenanigans.
Ball Lightning was named. He typed it in our chat or our Facebook chat. So
feels like a pretty good card to name.
Yep, I guess like one thing's.
Although I don't know, it just holds him off for a turn, right?
Ooh, well, are you gonna use your Zurin Orb?
I didn't know he played main deck Vortex. All right, that changes everything. Jesus Christ.
He has a couple of them, I think.
Okay, well that is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Okay. I doubt that I'm sacking a random land on turn 2. I don't think he's sacking 1. Okay.
I mean, I think a lot of it depends on like the texture of your hand and how long you expect the game to go. Like,
it's totally reasonable to do it. It depends on a lot of things.
Well, this Meddling Mage will get in the way of a pup.
Just kept him from playing Ball Lightning for 1 turn. He was definitely blocking there.
Well, life totals are tied, so that, and then Brian will take 2 down to 15 from the.
Oh, and he probably has. I'm sure Brian has like Disenchants, right, and or Seal of Cleansing in his deck, so
yeah,
he could remove. Yeah,
he should have like a Seal of Cleansing if he has the Enlightened Tutor package.
He has. Looks like he has no Seal of Cleansing. Is that possible? I guess that was one of his cuts for Engineered Plagues. He has a Seal of Removal.
Does he have the?
Oh, he has an Aura of Silence.
Okay.
He's an Aura.
I'm gonna adjust the cropping. Well, let's see if I can, because the bottom of the. Yeah, I got something screwed up on my layout because we can see more of the playmat of Brian Durkin than the stream can, but.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. So he taxes again. He's really, really looking to Enlightened Tutor for this Aura of Silence again.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's got a little bit of time that maybe he could like do the scroll rack land text thing, but
yeah, he's not under a lot of pressure now. This thing is presumably going to trade with this other pup, and he's going to have slowly stop the bleeding, and he just needs a little time to find Aura of Silence and presumably win with that Zurin Orb.
Yeah.
So that seems to be his plan. Though the Vortex was very nice from Aaron. I forgot that he played those main deck, but I knew I should have known that he did. Obviously,
he's got 2. I think some decks play 3. He has like 2 Chris Scroll and 2 Self-Work Vortex. So
okay.
We see a Lightning Bolt deployed.
Yeah.
And here's a Ball Lightning.
It's huge.
So this is big chunks of damage. 15 down to 12, and then takes 8 down to 4.
I think he has.
And then it goes down to 2.
Well, he's gonna be at 5. No, he's at 5 after the Sulfuric Vortex. So he basically needs to. I mean, I feel like he needs to play Aura of Silence literally right now, which seems unlikely.
Yeah, this is
impressive by Aaron, man. Brian just nuts, just absolute plays the nuts over the first couple turns, and it just doesn't matter. That's the power of Sligh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Zurin Orb, screw you. Vortex, pup, Ball Lightning, dead.
Oh, there was a second Meddling Mage. Oh, okay. That was
yeah,
the thing. I didn't notice that.
He bolted the mage. Yeah.
All right. I'm guessing that second one was also naming.
Yeah, it's. I mean, these guys, they clearly know what they're doing at this point, right? Those Meddling Mages were on point. He was holding a Ball Lightning. Aaron had the right response to the Zurin Orb. They both. This is another mage.
Oh. That. I mean, if you're not answering the Sulfuric Vortex here, I have a hard time imagining that Brian's going to be able to win.
He might depend. I mean, Aaron could have a blank. He only has 1 or 2 cards in his hand. So if he has nothing, he's going to get 1 turn to Enlightened Tutor for Aura of Silence. That's his only. Okay, that should.
All right. Well, Fire Blast is a good way to get things done, and
Yeah.
the Sligh deck takes game one.
Well, that was the actual nuts from Aaron. Pup, bolt, ball lightning, vortex, fire blast, dead. The actual nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, if you take the Vortex out of that equation, then I mean, I still think the Sligh deck could have won, but uh, the Zernorb would have held a lot of
I
weight.
mean, it would have, but he would have been forcing him to sack lands.
Yeah.
You know, like that vortex would have been something else. Would have been a bolt or whatever. So it still would have dealt its 3 damage. But yeah, he wouldn't have been dead. That's for sure. He might have been down to 1 land, but he wouldn't have been dead, and he would have had a chance to come back. As it stands, he is dead now, and she's going to bring in that cop red. What do you think Aaron brings in?
I don't. Another Sulfuric Vortex.
Right. Yeah. So let's see what he actually has. He has a vortex.
There's 2
Price
Tormod's
of
Crypts.
Progress, no good. Red Blast, no good. Overload, no good. Lava Dart, no good. Crypt, probably no. It's really just a vortex, so he could sideboard out anything. Like whatever, like a bauble, probably.
Bauble or Volcanic Hammer. Though I do like, yeah. I almost put Volcanic Hammer as one of the key cards just because I like the art of that Portal Second Age one. Like this is its time to shine.
I do like that people are playing Volcanic Hammer in these Sligh decks as a 1 or 2 of, because I have a 1 of test print Volcanic Hammer. And so, I mean, not that I would play Sligh, but if I kind of want to play Sligh once just so I can play that Volcanic Hammer.
Is that the 7th edition one?
Yeah, the same one as like my Call of the Herds and Wallace from last time.
How did you? I know you got some of those as a gift. Or did they all come really at once?
Jamie got them as like a wedding gift from Worth Wilpert, who worked at R&D forever and was around not since the beginning, but he was in the back room for a long time, and so he got his hand on a lot of that stuff. He just sent over like a care package full of some awesome shit. Like we have a counter spell. We have a Disenchant. There's an Engineered Plague, a Genesis. There's some very cool pre-modern cards.
Yeah. So if they made like the Magic cards like in that style, do you think? Because I think part of the thing was if you're like holding like cards in your hand, that you could just fan them and then like see the card names better and the cost, because everything's on the left side of the card, right? Yeah. Or at least some of them. I think actually. Do you have
some are left and some are right? Okay. The stuff is on the sides. Yeah.
What if they made 2 different versions? They have like left-handed Volcanic Hammer and right-handed Volcanic Hammer.
Yeah.
So then like you're like, oh, I'm a lefty. I have to like collect the
trade. Give me righties. I'll trade you my righties for your lefties. That would make the Friday Night Magic trade tables pretty interesting.
Yeah, that would. I would enjoy that if they did that for like one set and they had some promos like that.
Right, I could see it. I mean, they're willing to do anything now, clearly, right? Literally anything. They have Stranger Things cards. They have My Little Pony cards that are playable in Legacy. Like, these are actual Magic cards.
Did you play in Champions Block?
A little bit, yeah.
Because there's a card called Brothers Yamabushi, and there's 2 different arts for it, like kind of like they used to do in Fallen Empires or whatnot. One is like a left-facing guy, one is a right-facing guy, and the card has like a special text of like, it's a legend. But when there's exactly 2 of them in play, then the legend rule doesn't apply, and they get bigger.
So I guess you have to, if you're playing, if you're playing that card, you're definitely, the goal is clearly to get 1 of each out, obviously, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be your end game.
It's Brothers Yama something.
I'm sure if you just start typing it in Scryfall, it'll pop up.
Yamazaki. Does Scryfall auto-populate? Is that something you have to turn on?
It doesn't auto-populate for me, but once you click it and you mistype it, it'll say, oh, wait, did you mean this card? Oh. So it's sort of synthetically auto-populates.
See, the problem I have, I don't remember it's telling me, like, did you mean this card? And then also, if I have typed the name of the wrong, like, spelling of something, that will come down as like the drop down. I don't know if that's a Google feature or a Scryfall feature, but it like saves my incorrect typings of certain card names. And so that would be my one thing if Scryfall could implement, would be like an autofill of what you're typing. That would. Yeah.
I think it's it does that on TCG Player too for me. I think super annoying if I'm searching up a card.
Oh, okay.
It's like, come on. Aren't these computers smart enough at this point to figure out what the hell I'm trying to say? You're obviously not trying to get Brothers
TCG Player for me, like, autofills.
Maybe I have like maybe I'm mixing it up with a different site and it's not TCG Player. But TCG Player I'm honestly have half a mind to do a pod just on TCG Player and how atrocious it is, and how bad the buy direct from TCG Direct is, how bad the card optimizer is, all that garbage. I'm going to have somebody from TCG on. Maybe even I'm going to reach out to Chetty and see if he'll come on and just like fucking make all this right, because that site is an abomination.
Well, okay, so I'll play defense on TCG Player. So first of all,
Jeez.
I think I do agree that like they're like buttons of like optimize my cart. It just doesn't work. But the defense of it is like it is an extremely complicated like program solution. Like no one has figured that out, like how to do it. Like because it's kind of like I'm trying to think of like certain situations that I've had in the real world where like, okay, I have like a number of like 850, and then I have multiple dollar amounts, like $23, $26, and they're all in a list. And some combination of those need to add up to 850.
Yeah.
There's no like computer program that could be like, these are the different permutations of like what add up to like 850, because as it gets bigger, like as more numbers going, like it just becomes like nearly more infinitely complex. And that's basically that's what it is to like a really like, huge degree with the TCG Player, because there's so many vendors and so many different like variables. I think that's the reason why it doesn't work. But I feel like TCG Player is like, the more you use it, you get like certain skills, or you get like, because you talked about how you do it, and I'm like, that's kind of how I do it too. But like you get like a way that you get used to using TCG Player, and you get efficient at it. So it's kind of like a learned skill.
I'm too old then. I'm too boomery because I have not picked up these skills. I still can't figure out TCG Player Direct. I order $35 worth of cards in my cart, and it's not free shipping, and there's only one package from them, and it's only $8, and there's 4 other packages from 3 other shippers, and yada yada. And it's just like, it's unbelievable. I think I more or less know the reasons, but it's so not intuitive, and it's such a pain in the ass. And I hate it so much, and I just wish that they could solve these simple problems. Yeah,
I don't know, like in terms of the shipping with a TCG Direct, because I do feel like it's kind of awkward there. But the idea of what TCG Direct is that TCG has like a warehouse of a lot of cards.
Yeah, hold on. You don't have to pitch me on the idea.
Okay.
I understand the theoretical.
Yeah.
I know, like, to build up a card of cards that are listed as TCG Direct. I do it like once a month. It's never once worked ever since the beginning of time.
Well, as I'm just saying, like as a business decision, what they do is like, so TCG ships to the individuals, and then instead of the sellers mailing to me, they just mail to that warehouse, and so they will have to mail to, like, they make one big order like every week to TCG Direct, and so they so it saves the sellers like a lot of shipping, because they can do like
all
one
I'm saying
big
is,
order.
After this is over, go on TCG Player and just add $40 of various cards to your cart that are all TCG Direct. You will not have one package from TCG Direct with free shipping in your cart. I promise you that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
What's going on? I guess there's a lot of mulliganing this game.
Chat was saying that there's a match here. It just started.
Yeah, come on, guys. We have more important things to talk about.
All right.
Okay. Good start.
We got a land tax and a Mox Diamond, so.
And Aaron has no artifact removal post board, so that diamond is just there forever. So.
Well, maybe he brought in the overloads, but I doubt it.
Oh, he does have overload. Yeah, he's not bringing overloads for. I mean, maybe. I mean, Scroll Rack's pretty good.
Zurin Orb, I don't know.
See that. We glossed over that because we spent too much time just shitting on TCG Player. But it's possible that overload came in, or maybe like a one of Misers. Catch him off guard. I don't
like those things. Like if I'm playing the burn deck, the cards that you bring in that don't deal damage have to be very impactful, and I like overload would not be a card that I would be interested in.
Not here. It'd be good against Dreadnought. Obviously.
Yeah. It has to things that like save you the game, or like I don't know if there's like an artifact that would be like a Circle of Protection red type thing, like something that like really affects the game that you would need an overload effect. I don't like it for
Zurin Orb was one example, right?
Sure.
I could see maybe a one up for Zurin Orb.
That one's just tough because you still get a decent amount of value. I mean, if it's early in the game, you don't want to sack too many lands, but if it's like turn 10 and the Zurin Orb, like it doesn't do you any good if you have the overload.
Right. That's true. You're right. So what do we think about these meddling mages in this deck? Because stock Terrageddon is just green-white, basically. Maybe I think it really is just green-white. And these meddling mages have been pretty freaking awesome so far.
it named lightning bolt and it got the it got
It got shocked.
shocked. So that's
That's the
unfortunate. Maybe you should have named
yeah.
shock so it had to get lightning bolt.
Aaron is just flying on all cylinders. Oh, you named bolt. I have the shock. If he had named shock, Aaron's hand would have been bolt clearly.
Yeah, five color Geddon or four color Terrageddon has kind of been uh, the the standard. I think
Has it
people
been okay?
have
So
moved
meddling
away from
mages
it.
are like sort of stocky in these
Yep.
lists at this
Yeah,
point.
it's
Okay.
pretty typical. I think it just shores up your matchup against certain things that, uh, and like the opportunity cost of playing multiple colors is not that hard with land tax, undiscovered paradise, and mox diamond, which were
Oh
cards I
yeah,
think just the green white list were playing anyways.
yeah. And like here, it's doing. I mean, it hasn't been doing it this game, but it's been blocking a lot, right? Like it's been just blocking paps is a pretty just being a bear. Your father's bear is pretty potent. Aaron just like with just the perfect draws though into Brian. These both these guys have had amazing draws both games, so it's good to see both decks firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I it just seems so hard like with the board presence from Brian. Like every turn he takes damage from these pups, it just makes it seem like it gets exponentially harder for him to win the game though.
Oh yeah. Well, you call Jackal Pup as a very important card in the matchup and your key cards, and he's Aaron's drawn two in each game, and they've been doing the Lord's work. So he just played planes and discarded a land. Wow.
This is a ball lightning. Brian needs the swords of plowshares here.
I mean, he has to have one, right? I mean,
Yes. He's
what is this
like
hand even doing if it doesn't have like a swords there or something to do there? We didn't even look at what Brian might be sideboarding. God, we punted this. Oh no, we thought he's just bringing in the cop red. Yeah, that makes sense. No, maybe the seal of cleansing actually for the
for the
yeah, he's definitely
vortex.
bringing in seal of cleansing to get rid of the vortexes. All right, but still 14. He can tax again if he wants. I don't know how many basics he has. He might be mostly out of basics at this point.
Yeah, this is the problem. Like with the Terragon deck against Sligh specifically, is like there's no big haymaker. Uh, like Armageddon here would be bad, and there's no way for
Yeah.
him to really like close what Aaron's doing. Like Circle Protection Red's the closest thing, but then you're spending mana every turn, and it's harder to develop your board.
It's not great, yeah. And Aaron can just keep filling up his board, and there's no wrath that's going to catch him up or anything. So, I guess plague, like plague here on Paps would be pretty great. Yeah, but this is what we said. Like, this is a clunky deck, right? Like this Terrageddon deck is a little clunky. Sligh is the opposite of clunky. All of its cards just do 4 damage, and that's what he's trying to do. And that is exactly how this is playing out. Brian has these solid but albeit clunky draws, and Aaron is just like slying all over him.
Well, I like this draw a lot more from Brian. Like the two swords of plowshares have saved him at least 8 life with the ball lighting and
Oh
a
yeah,
jackal pup attack. But I just still don't even know if it's going to be enough. Like
right. Like what could he even do here? You know, like I feel like one of those plagues is definitely still in the deck. So plaguing here isn't even that good. It just kills one guy. Playing one of his dudes doesn't do much. It's only going to be a 2/2. What does he even have? Let's see. He just hasn't been doing any of his shenanigans with scroll rack, right? That's what he really needs.
yeah, but that's just so it's not it's pretty slow against Sligh. Like you don't have that many turns to do that against Sligh, and it just seems
Right.
very difficult in practice for the Terragun deck to take Sligh down.
So he has a Wrath in his board. He's probably brought that in. He probably brought in Wrath, Seal, and Cop Red, probably just for like his Geddons, right? Geddon's atrocious.
Yeah, it's like Geddon, and then they just fire blast
It
you in
does pump
response.
up your Terravore, I guess. Maybe you could keep one Geddon in, but it's not doing much.
Yeah.
2/2. Yeah,
Oh, we
cast
got
a
a tier 4. Is there? I don't think Aaron has had a fetch land. Yeah, because he's at 28, so he gained 6 and then 2. So yeah, no fetch land from Aaron. And so
Yeah, so it's literally a 2/2, right? Yeah.
and it's just gonna. Is he gonna discard a hand size? It's just gonna die to Grimlavamancer.
It is. It's gonna eat. It's gonna eat one activation though. I don't know if that's maybe he has nothing else in his hand. He has to at least, force that. He has no way to get a land in his graveyard. This is Incinerate. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Incinerate your head. Grimlavamancer, your Terravore.
It's a vulnerable monk. It gains him 2 life.
Yeah, basically. Venerable Monk. Jeff White owns the original art to Venerable Monk, if you were curious.
What set was the original art from?
I don't know. Like
Or is it Saga?
Tempest, maybe?
Tempest? Okay.
Like Saga. Something really old. Yeah.
So, like, are these cards that have, like, oh, this one is...
Yeah, I just don't even...
How does he just see the art and he's like, oh yeah, I'll get that? Or, like, are these cards that have emotional...
That card had a very mild amount of nostalgia. The real reason that card was a gift is because it's called Venerable Monk. And in Borat, Borat calls his producer his most venerable producer. So that adjective venerable has special meaning for us.
Okay.
And so that's why he has the monk.
So I just put up the Stronghold one. Is that the original one, or was the...
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
okay.
It's
like a big head or something.
Yeah, just like it's like a Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess both of them...
Jesus Christ, Aaron. Yeah. So he probably kept, like, first turn tax with 2 swords and a diamond, hoping to draw in some stuff, and he didn't draw much, and Aaron just had the actual stone nuts 2 games in a row. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if Aaron had like a slightly below average draw, the result still might be the same. But because
Aaron wasted a lot of his luck here. He did not need all these in this match.
It's hard for Brian to like close out a game against Sligh. Like usually the way you close out a game is have a threat and cast Armageddon. Well, that's not very good against the Sligh deck. So I will swing things over so we can listen to the players. They're probably going to break down things. You can listen to stuff about like actual Magic instead of us just talking about vulnerable monk. So
yeah.
One sulfuric vortex.
Should I unmute them too?
Yeah. Like if you don't want to play non-basics, even though there's so many in your list, like you could just decide to not. So I ended up doing 1 hammer for 1 sulfuric vortex.
Gotcha.
And that was the whole thing.
Nah, that makes sense. I figured you were going to be stuck with the baubles in your deck, but
stuck with nothing, sir.
Well, they could be annoying when I have Aura Silence. Like I was hoping your hand was like a bunch of baubles you didn't want to cast,
Yeah, fair enough.
If I'm not playing Aura Silence,
actually,
then, like,
I didn't see a bauble that whole game, so I'm a little sad that I don't get to like be on the bauble train for that one. But
that's fair.
I've beat that dead horse enough.
Have you ever paid 2 mana for Urza's Bauble?
I have.
Has anyone ever had Null Rod in play and you drawn Urza's Bauble?
Somebody had double sphere of resistance.
Okay.
It was horrible, and I hated every minute of it. I ended up losing that match.
Well, I can understand that.
What a surprise!
Flip cameras around.
Brian, what did you sideboard?
I took out the Armageddons. They were pretty bad, and then Sylvan Library. Not the Sylvan Library. Like you're never gonna pay to draw extra cards. The digging can be nice when you're in a jam, but I just brought in the Cop Red, of course, the 1 Smother, an extra Engineered Plague, and I actually brought in a Seal Cleansing just because of stuff like Sulfuric Vortex. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I just figured I kind of like the plagues simply because like it'll be nice just to name like elemental, so that way I don't have to worry about like keeping swords up for like ball lightning or something like that. So it's just
he had multiple 2-pup draws. If you had drawn a plague either of those games, that might have changed everything.
Yeah, exactly. I was like definitely disappointed I couldn't that I had to use my second swords on a pup. Like I was hoping to get bailed out with my bad draws with like a plague so I could just wipe those guys down, but Yeah, it didn't work out. Like, you know, that's just how the deck can be sometimes.
There was nothing you could have done. Sligh just slide you. Dix did what he does, and he just drew his cards and cast them all and demolished you. Yeah.
Well, it was funny. Like y'all didn't even. We were talking, I guess, offline. Like the chat didn't even hear it, but it was funny. Game 1, we both just hit like banger after banger. Like I drew Zornor for the turn. So I was like, oh my god, my turn 1's insane. And then Aaron told me between games, like he didn't even have the third land. That's why he didn't fetch. So it's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to name Sophia Forte. I feel like Mage is gonna die all the time, no matter what. So there's
Mage is rough.
Yeah, like I could in that spot maybe name, because even if I name Sophia Vortex, then it's like, all right, then you can just crack the fetch, bold it, and then just you lose like a 0.5% on drawing.
I don't think you can name. I don't think you can name Vortex. That's like that's a soul read right there. You can't. Do that.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to name Fire Blast, but Aaron was like, "Oh wait, I should just end the game right now and Fire Blast," which makes a lot of sense. I mean, I was really cold game 1 at that point anyway. Once Zornor was turned off, because it just takes like a long time to find the one or a silence. But game 2, like maybe I should have kept a better hand, but I had like a turn 1 land tax off Mox Diamond, 2 swords, and then like Metal Mage, which is going to eat a card. Like it's either going to take a piece of burn away or trade the creature. So it's just rough when you draw basics after land taxing.
I think
that's what we figured you kept was Mox, tax, 2 swords, and maybe one other spell. Seems like a pretty darn good hand to keep. And you just you drew nothing, and he just drew it. He just drew it all. So
no, totally. But I mean, it can go like game 1 is radically different if there's no vortex. Like you mentioned, if I hit the plague, like a timely plague, or there's theoretically 5 top reds in my deck with Enlightened Tutor, and I was so land flooded after triggering land tax like twice that would have bought me like a ton of turns. Anyone paying close attention at home when they saw me land tax for only 2 basics, I only have 8 basics in my deck. So when I just got only 2 basics, like the second land tax, it's like actually my whole hand is revealed. Like my whole hand is basic. So it was kind of painful, but that's magic.
What did you think your matchup was coming in to this? Your percentage?
I thought it was, I don't know. I think I probably 35%. I was 40% like generously, because it's like I basically have to get my engine. Not only do I have to get my engine going, otherwise I'm just like dirtling around, not really doing anything. And I'm dirtling to set that up. But you also need Zornor on top of that for game 1 to even have a fighting chance. And then
that's exactly what we said too.
Yeah. And then game 2 is definitely better because you do have Cop Red, and Aaron's like not like splashing for green, which is correct. Like you should just be mono red. But so it's kind of tough. Like I feel like you're way more powerful after sideboard, but then you got to win both sideboard games. And you got to win one on the draw, even though that's great for land tax. It's not good when you go to 20 to 0 in 4 turns. So
that's fair. We figured you were really the one. I thought the one Zern Orb. Without the Zern Orb, you'd be a very big dog. But there's the single Zern Orb with the 4 tutors, maybe I thought would get you 5 to 10 percentage points alone in this matchup. But it didn't really manifest itself that way, mostly due to Aaron's timely sulfuric vortex. But I think that might take you from 38% to 45% or something.
Yeah, it's possible. The tough part is like from goldfishing it. It's like if I can't just use the first Enlightened Tutor on Zornorb if I have no other pieces, because then I just like go nowhere and do nothing. So the fact that you have to like get the land tax and then probably the scroll rack too, it does. You really don't have 5 Zornorbs in your deck.
Right. That's fair.
But Aaron, I thought you were going to say something. I feel like I cut you off.
Oh, I was just going to say, I thought game 1, like I thought you had the best first turn that you could have against this deck. So, I absolutely had to play around making that hit, or I was done. I was dead in the water to Zurin Orb land tax. Active land tax and a Zurin Orb immediately.
Yeah.
That's a game winner.
Both of you guys had, I mean, you obviously had great draws, Aaron, but it's not like you were doing nothing either. Like you said, that was arguably your not first turn. And your second turn, your second game keep and first turn was really no slouch, you know, like you had stuff, you both were doing good things. You just kind of drew air. But in general, you guys were doing what your deck's kind of supposed to do and playing reasonable things. It just a little too clunky at the end of the day. And Sligh did what Sligh does. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, even if Aaron doesn't have the Sulfuric Vortex, right? Like, let's just say like Aaron has a third land. He's not like holding the fetch to hope to draw a third land. Like, he still can just like shock my Melee Mage, and then he's like play ball lightning and attack me for 8. And it's like, I have Storm Orb, but I'm also like at 10. Like, you know, I'm probably gonna have to like Stone Ring myself every turn to like not die. So it's still sketchy. Like, honestly, what makes like what I've discovered is like I'm trying to like turbo to Threshold because I need Werebear to be a 4/4 before I ever play him. So that's another thing too that makes the Sligh matchup really squirrely is you can't just like play him as a 1/1 mana dork because he will die immediately. So
yep, all that makes sense.
But no, Aaron played fantastic, super tight, and he definitely did the right thing in banning Sligh in my 3 decks. Like, it put me in a really like rough spot going into like our matchup. Like, because I basically didn't want to like do a coin flip with playing the Ellesmere, and I didn't want to play Elves against Sligh, especially with his sideboard. So I was like pretty locked. Like, it was a smart ban on his part because it kind of locks me into Terrageddon, so then he can just pick what he wants to play against Terrageddon with. So that's a good spot to be.
Well, if I picked exactly what I wanted to play against Terrageddon with, it would have been Elves. I feel like I like the Elf matchup better, but I'm like I only like it marginally better. And if you play the Elves deck, I've got the win. In my opinion, I'm kind of on lock with Sligh with this sideboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I came to the same conclusion. Like, I figured neither of us wanted to like lock in Elves with the chance of getting coin flipped or like out position. So I was pretty sure we were both playing our non-Elves decks.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
I'll take my Sligh matchup against most things.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm supposed to not ban Esper Dreadnought, but it's kind of weird because, like, I have like a lot of ways to kill Dreadnought in Terrageddon, but I was having some, I guess, PTSD flashbacks from week 1 when I lost to Dimir Dreadnought, and then you get the white added to it. I was like, I don't know if I want to sign up to play against that again, but maybe if we're to play the playoffs, I would ban something different. I don't know, but
I thought I was going into this week thinking you were definitely not going to ban that because you've already beat it once so horrendously in a top 8. So this was my measure of payback, sir.
Gotcha.
From the last time you drubbed me.
Okay, that's true. All right, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I think because I was afraid if I banned your Sligh, if you ban my Terrageddon, I don't want to play either of my remaining decks against your Dreadnought. So it's fun how like on the stream the audience only gets to watch like the matchup we play, but there is a lot that goes into before we sit down and shuffle up. Like,
sure. That's one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have any questions for you guys. I've been busy working on stuff behind the scenes. So
candy rankings.
Yes, that's it. So I. Oh, okay. Oh, Gate. Other Farkas is asking some troll questions. He says, "Mano, when did you last shave?" That's what.
8 days ago. I was supposed to shave yesterday, but I forgot. So
you're in November. Are you allowed to shave?
What do you mean?
No shave November? You've never heard of that?
That's a thing. I'm such a boomer. I didn't know what fucking Rickroll means. Now I don't know what No Shave November means.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There's a lot of things you're not supposed to do in November, apparently now.
Oh yes, that one we won't talk about on air, but
This is a family show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somewhat, but yeah. Yeah, and then Gabe also wants to know for Brian, how many V-neck T-shirts do you own, and then how many colors?
Oh wow! I didn't realize I was always rocking my V-necks on here. You know what's so funny is I think I only have 2, so maybe I've only worn 2 shirts in 4 weeks. Yeah, I have the purple and the green, and then gosh, I'm racking my brain now. I'll have to go back and watch the VODs then to see if there's another color I forgot.
I think it's just funny that Gabe has noticed like what you're wearing. I had no idea that you wore like a V-neck shirt like other times. Like it's not something I noticed. But Aaron, looks like your question is, what kind of guitar do you have behind you?
That is a Harley Benton Nashville Steel.
Okay. Do you have multiple guitars? You had to like turn around to check what like.
I had to check which one.
Okay, all right.
There's 14 in the room with me.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes more sense. I was gonna say you either like have no idea what it is and you had to read it, or you have lots of guitars and you had to figure out which one it was.
The really sad part is there's a picture of it right in front of me, and I didn't think to check there first.
Sure.
Oh, sure, yeah, like on camera, yeah. I would have done the same thing. I would have turned around.
All right, I'm gonna let you players go, and we're gonna get things set up for our special Super Gauntlet match. I have a few things behind the scenes that I need to set up, but thank you for the match. Well done, Aaron. Sorry about those whammies, Brian. But
all right,
great.
That's how it goes.
Great magic, great play as always, Brian. Thanks so much.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, you too, man.
Okay.
All right, later, guys.
Take care, guys.
I guess I want to bring up. I have a couple of slides for the players. So we have get to know Aaron Dix. So his favorite magic archetype is aggro, which is very fitting for his slide decks. He says his favorite card art is Necropotence, which I does he have a playmat or is that someone else? I know Mike Arnold does, but yeah, the skull is a pretty iconic magic card art. He says, which card do you wish was good enough for Premodern? And he says Mog Flunkies. I think some people would disagree that Mog Flunkies is good enough for Premodern. I've definitely seen people play that guy.
Yeah, it depends on how you define good enough.
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen that card in play.
Sure. He says the best candy bar is Snickers Brownie. I like.
What the fuck?
is that? I don't know what that is. Is that a new thing? Is that?
No, it's like Snickers has all these gimmick things now. They're like part Snickers, part brownie. There's another one that's like part cookie or blondie or something. But like any kind of mass-produced brownie that's jammed into a candy bar is not going to be very good. That's not a good candy bar at all.
We'll have more hot takes. We're gonna do after we come back from the break. I think we'll do. Mano and I are gonna talk about the 5 underrated and 5 overrated candies. So
the content you all came for.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So we asked, would you rather fight 1 Draco-sized hunted Wumpus or 10 hunted Wumpus-sized Dracos? He'd rather fight 1 big hunted Wumpus. So we'll jump on over.
That's a tough one, right? You're just dead no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I'm trying to think of the original hunted Wumpus. Like, is there a scale of it? Like, is there? I know there's like a tree, but trees can be like varying in scale. So, like, I'm guessing hunted Wumpus is bigger than like the average dude. So
it looks pretty big.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like at the very least like a gorilla or something. You know, it looks more like an elephant, to be honest. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be in that situation either way, but we'll move on.
Yeah, there's no outs.
To Brian, his favorite archetype is also aggro. So I'm surprised how many that we've asked in the Showdown series have said aggro. Because I don't know, I just feel like the veterans of Magic typically lean to like control. But there's a lot of aggro in this series, which I can appreciate. I like people who like aggro. I feel like we're underdogs. I don't know, especially in the pre-modern world. But
yeah, outside of Sligh, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, like most other, but that's probably has the biggest target. It's probably the actual best deck. So
yeah, he says his favorite Magic card art is Jester's Cap.
I can respect that. Yeah. That's a good take.
Yeah. And he wishes that Basking Rootwalla is good enough for Premodern. Again, a card that like is you played that in
No, I
in your
mean,
decks,
but I'm playing it in some weird brews. But like, isn't that card played-ish? Like, I know blue green threshold isn't really quite a tier. It's in the tier 2 space though. It's played in some weird survival lists. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's playable. It's just playable. It's more playable than Mog Flunkies, I think.
Sure. I like the design of Basking Rootwalla a lot. We've talked about him before. Whenever he comes on, I call it the push-up lizard. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I do like that card. I wish it maybe were a little bit better, but it's a good design, well-designed card. I don't know. He says the best candy bar is Three Musketeers, and I'll have some words about that later. But
yeah, that's a similarly atrocious take.
Okay,
these guys.
Don't give too much away. We got to keep them on their seat for when we come back.
Just teasers. These are just teasers.
And he wants to fight one big hunted Wumpus. I mean, Draco is like massive. Like this. That is how. I guess your only plan for a hunted Wumpus is just to run. One big hunted Wumpus is to run away, because there's no way you're taking that thing down.
Maybe
right?
It's so big.
Yeah.
Maybe it's so big you could just like crawl under some leaves and hide, and it won't find you or something. Right?
Yeah. Or maybe it's like the T-Rex that if you stand still, it won't see you.
Yeah, could be that too. But there could be some trickery involved. Just hiding from a giant beast. Right. Whereas 10 like just generally large but normal-ish size beast, you have no shot against though.
Okay, so now that we covered our players that played tonight, we're going to do a intermission as I get my things set up. I got some different formatting, so different things behind the scene that I gotta get ready for our next match. So we have a recorded match of the Premodern Super Gauntlet. It is familiar speculation, which we'll talk about because that is not a deck you're probably familiar with, against the Greater Good combo deck. So
pun intended or not intended? You said not a deck you're familiar with. I like what you did there.
I did not realize I said that, but
that was good stuff. Okay, that was good.
Okay, I'm like, what pun? Because I mean, Greater Good can. There's a lot of puns with that one too. So all right, so I'll run our little ads, and we'll be back shortly. So sit tight. We'll start off with our candy bars, and then we'll jump into the match. So we'll be back soon. Okay. All right, hello everybody. We are back. I think I have all my stuff lined up, so hopefully this goes smoothly. I don't think I've ever streamed me recording the way that I'm about to do it, but so I'm back. I'm here with Bryan Manolakos. One thing I was excited to do with him is we're going to talk about candy bars real quick. So we're in the Halloween season, and I want to talk about 5 underrated candies and 5 overrated candies, and we're kind of thinking like Halloween chocolate candies, I guess, is what we were thinking, but it wasn't like a hard rule.
We mostly said we're going to skip a lot of the fruity, chewy, gummy candies that our kids love, but that we as adults have grown out of. But we're skipping most of that for our lists.
Okay, so what do you want to start with? Underrated or overrated?
Let's start with overrated, because that was the harder. It was hard for me to come up with 5. So let's start with overrated. Top 5 overrated candies.
Okay.
You want to lead?
Yeah. So okay. I think this will probably be my most controversial one, but I'll debate. So overrated in a sense of where people like how often how often you get them in your Halloween candy, or how high people regard it. I think Snickers is a little bit overrated. So that's...
Want to hear something real funny?
Yes.
Snickers is my number 5 overrated candy.
Okay, we're perfectly in sync.
Literally on the same path. It's a fine candy. It is basically replacement level candy to me though, and people treat it as though it's more of a not quite a holy grail, but like something to strive for. But it is like replacement level candy. It's fine. I'll eat it. Believe you me, I've eaten a number of them in my day, and I have this week. But like, I'm not excited about it. And people seem to think I should be.
Well, I guess I will also say like what I look for in like a chocolate candy. I guess I have 2 main qualifications. They're not very difficult, and then one
is. Is this gonna color? Is this gonna like spoil what some of your answers are gonna be?
No. Okay, so I mean like flavor is like number 1, the most important thing of a candy, and then texture for me is the second most important thing. And
what
then,
else even is there?
I don't know.
The wrapper?
I don't know. Well, here's my third thing. So like. This is like a bonus. Like I'm not going to hold a candy against it if it doesn't have this, but any candy that you can like partition or like kind of like divide it, like break it up and like not eat it all in one bite, that is a bonus. Or if it like has a long lasting taste in your mouth, then that is also like a bonus, that like it sticks in your mouth, the flavor like lasts a little bit longer,
like a flavor bonus.
That's a tiebreaker, that last one. So okay, so you said 5 was your
that's funny, we both had Snickers as number 5. Okay, now I'm excited to see where this goes. Okay.
So my number 4, this one's pretty specific. So it's the mini Tootsie Rolls, like only the little ones, like, because I don't know if they've changed like the formula. First of all, they're like smaller than they were when I was a kid. That's for sure. They used to be, they have a little bit of girth, and now they're these tiny little things. But I feel like the little ones like dry up, and they're like, the texture of it is really bad, and like the taste of it isn't great. Like, I actually like the long ones, or like those really fat ones with like the indentations. I don't mind those. But it's just the mini ones that I don't like of Tootsie Rolls. So that's my number 4.
All Tootsie Rolls are pretty, not barely even medium. So like, I don't, who's rating these highly, I guess, is my question. You know, I mean, so you think,
I would just think you get them. I feel like a lot of times, maybe not this year, but I feel like a lot of times my kids would come home with a lot of Tootsie Rolls. So
yeah, so this is like kind of how do you define overrated? If you wanted to define it in terms of how often it shows up in your Halloween bag, you probably do have this, because everyone always comes home with 20 Tootsie Rolls every year. But I don't think anybody actually likes them. Okay. You know? So it depends on your definition of overrated. But if you define it the first way, that's a reasonable take. Yeah. I can respect that.
Where are you at for number 4?
My number 4 was Nestle Crunch.
Okay.
So this is getting to the texture thing. My contention with Nestle Crunch and to another, all of those sort of Hershey's miniature style bars, but especially with those mini crunches, is the mini ones you get are so thick, right? They're probably like almost half an inch thick, maybe a centimeter thick, let's say. Mm-hmm. And I really, pretty much all foods that I eat, whether it's candy or fruit or meat or any food, I want it basically sliced as thin as possible. Okay. So I really like the regular sized Crunch bar off the shelf. That one I'll like because it's very wide, it's thin. It's probably half as thick as the one that's the mini, but it's the same build. It's just a different texture, and I do enjoy that. But those thick ones you get, the minis you get from trick or treating, just medium quality candy. Nestle chocolate to me is worse than Hershey's chocolate. The texture is kind of thick and gross. And people really do seem to like Crunch bars. I think they're generally highly rated by the public, and they are just they're medium at best. They're not for me.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but like it's almost like a different candy bar between the mini and the long one, because of like how like the texture is completely different of like how thick that chocolate is. So okay.
Yeah, you can just like barely even break the big ones. You just bend them a tiny bit in your hand and the whole thing snaps. Those minis you have to like bang on the end of a table, you know, like get a hammer out to break those things.
All right. So I think I'm on number 3. Okay. I have plain M&Ms.
Holy shit, that's my number 3 too.
Okay.
This is insane. Great minds.
And so this is kind of one where it's like I'm not upset to have plain M&Ms. Like I kind of enjoy them, but I just feel like they're there a lot, and they're not that exciting. And I mean, obviously there's no difference between the different colors and whatnot, and so I just think you see them a lot, and they're not that special. I don't know.
I agree, man. You see them everywhere. Everyone's Halloween bag is full of them. People seem to enjoy it. It might be my wife's actual favorite candy. She has some horrible takes. This is one of her worst. Like maybe her favorite food to eat and the entire planet Earth are plain M&Ms, which is just abominable for a million reasons. that take. To me, do you know what the best use of plain M&Ms is? Or M&Ms in general, but really plains? You ever make, like, if you go to the movies and you have like hot popcorn with melted butter on it, and you just dump the M&Ms right in your hot popcorn while it's hot, and you kind of stir them around, then everything gets kind of melty. Then you get the melted chocolatey to go with the hot popcorn. You get the sweet and salty kicker together. That is a great use of. I usually do that with peanut butter M&Ms, which are obviously better than plains, but that is what you want to use your plain M&Ms for if you have to eat them. I would highly recommend doing that in the future. You can do it at home too. Make popcorn on the stove, throw them in right when it comes off. It's perfect.
I might try that. It better work, because I've seen videos of people doing that with Skittles, like on Instagram or something, and then someone tried it and they're like, yeah, this doesn't work. So it better work better with M&Ms than it does with Skittles. So
you got to give it some time, though. You have to let it sit and really. It takes probably 5-ish minutes, and the popcorn has to be nice and hot. If you wait at all, it will not. If you wait 2 minutes, it won't work. You have to throw it in right when it's hot out of the stove.
Okay, so that was our 3. So we're in agreement there. So my number 2 is Three Musketeers. So
okay, go ahead. Defend your pick.
So I don't mind the taste of a Three Musketeers, but like it feels like a waste that you have like this candy bar. You're devoting all these calories to this like fluff that like the marshmallow. There's no like I want something in it, and it's just like
it's mono filler. It's just filler.
Yeah. So that I don't know. I want something with a little bit more to it than if I'm going to eat a piece of candy, I guess.
That's funny. I asked Aaron Dix this before the PSS, what percentage of the year's Three Musketeers are consumed during Halloween week? Like almost as a joke, because I was clearly shooting for like 95 to 100%. And he was like, well, actually, it's about 67.92% because his who did he say? His wife, somebody he knew worked for Mars and like had that data on hand or something.
Yeah, I think it was his wife. Yeah, so
it was insane. But so she was like, it's like 2/3 of all Three Musketeers are consumed this week, which sounds about right, which means it's a garbage candy, right? Nobody outside of Halloween, or almost nobody, goes out of their way to procure a Three Musketeers bar. So it's not good. I just think that people don't really like it. So to me, it's probably not. It's probably right around properly rated. It's not good, and people don't really like it, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like it is pretty standard in like the Halloween candy suite. So that's kind of what I was basing it
Again, this depends on your definition of like how overrated it is. But in terms of showing up in your basket, you're absolutely right.
Yep. All right. So
my number 2 is extremely hot. It's Reese's peanut butter cups.
Okay. All right.
The reason for this is I have a lot of thoughts about Reese's candy in general. If you look at any list, almost any human being, assuming they're a normal person and not like Robin Lund, who doesn't like chocolate and peanut butter together somehow because he's too Swedish or whatever, but like anybody with functioning taste buds loves peanut butter and chocolate and loves Reese's, right? In general, that is at the top of just about every Halloween list. I also love Reese's. I get it. But to me, there is an absurd amount of variance in every single Reese's cup. If you get a somewhat old, dried out Reese's cup that's kind of hard and brittly, and you bite into it and it's not moist and soft, that to me is, I almost don't even want to eat it, an old dried out Reese's. Whereas a fresh moist Reese's, it's tier 1 candy. The problem is all the ones you got on Halloween have been sitting around forever, and some people were giving out last year's Reese's, and it's just like a freaking disaster. They're almost all dried out, and I literally will not eat an old dried out Reese's. If I take a bite out of it and it's an old one, I spit it out and throw the rest in the garbage. That's how gross it is. Whereas a fresh do you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you recognize this in your Reese's eating, or am I making this up?
I don't know if I can. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't know if I've had like a dry Reese's. I would almost say that sometimes I think recently that they've been too moist. So I don't know. I might be.
Oh my God. It couldn't be. That's not possible for me. I want it as moist as any women listening. I know there's probably not a lot of women listening to this, but women, at least from my little bit of research, hate the word moist. Yeah. So I apologize to all you women listeners. I know I've said it 25 times in the last 25 seconds, but that's the best way I can find to describe this. Also, my other takes regarding Reese's are all of the new Reese's that have like Reese's Pieces mixed in, or pretzels mixed in, or something else mixed into the cup. Those are strictly better than your father's vanilla Reese's cups, and those are pretty hard to find on Halloween. So just like a regular old dry brittle Reese's cup to me is honestly not an edible food. And people still rank that as maybe the number 1 Halloween candy. And to me, it matters so much. There's so much variance. Eating every Reese's is like a lottery ticket to me. It's so scary.
Okay, how do you feel about, like, I had a number of the Reese's, like, so think of like the Reese's trees. Are those better than Reese's peanut butter cups? Or
another hot take is that all of the Reese's holiday shapes are better than the regular Reese's Cups, and that is because they're fresher, they're made just for this holiday, and they're just going to be moister. Like rip open a tree, rip open a pumpkin, just break it open nicely. You'll be able to hear the difference than when you crack open a brittle old Singleton Reese's. You really will hear the difference. Okay. Yes, the shapes all trade over the vanilla Reese's for sure.
All right, so that was your number 2?
Number 2, yeah.
All right, so my number 1.
I feel like our number 1s might be the same.
It is. I don't know if it will. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's Hershey's milk chocolate bars.
Okay, they're not the same.
That's number 1. I don't know what is appealing about this. Like I don't think I don't think Hershey's chocolate is that exciting, and when it doesn't have any texture to it, it to me is just, it's not anything I really want. And the one bonus is I do like that you can break it up into little pieces. That is a cool thing about that candy bar. But to me, I am not interested in a Hershey's milk chocolate bar.
They do at least do it right. They don't go for the little tiny thick thing like Crunches do.
Sure.
The mini Hershey's are nice and thin, and they're a thinly sliced texture that is also breakable. Your take is on point. I'm gonna personally disagree because I do actually love Hershey's chocolate. Like, people are like, "Oh, how do you eat that crap?" I take shit all the time for this. And I just like it, man. I'm a simpleton with simple American taste buds. I like me a Hershey's chocolate bar, and I'm proud to say it. Like, it's delicious. I think it's a little bit holier than thou. Maybe it's not your favorite, but like, I think it's a fine candy, albeit sugary. And to me, it's good. But I agree that I'm in the minority there. So I think your take is reasonable.
All right, where are you at for number 1?
My number 1. This is where I kind of, sidled off the path a little bit because this isn't really a chocolate candy, but it's candy corn.
Oh, well.
Candy corn, people get excited for it, right? I love your response is exactly right. Like, that shit is completely inedible, and a lot of people get it. Again, my wife's favorite Halloween candy corn. Her favorite chocolate treat, M&Ms. I honestly don't even know why I married her at this point.
I was gonna say
the worst fucking takes of all time.
I don't think, from my understanding is no one likes candy corn. So I guess that would be why it's not on there. But so I didn't think.
I'm biased because she brainwashed all my kids, and my kids get somewhat excited for candy corn now, and she obviously does. And so candy corn is a real thing in my house somehow. And so, but that could just be like proximity bias, right? The people right around me all seem to like it, but the general world doesn't. But to me, it's inedible, and people that I know actively love eating it, and
I don't know anyone who likes candy corn. So, but I mean, so the best use of candy corn is like when you can like stack it and make it actually look like a corn of cob of corn.
Just make a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
It looks really cool. That's like the best use of candy corn.
Have you ever done the thing with Skittles where you take 2 yellow Skittles for the bun, you take like a purple one is the burger, the red one is the tomato, and the green one is the lettuce. You put 5 in a row like this, and you just smash them together like so they all flatten. It actually looks just like a burger. You got to try it.
I have smashed them, but I haven't done it like to make a burger. That it does sound like something.
Yeah. No, but you have to do them all together in a row. Put them all on top of each other and just squeeze them. It looks just like a burger. It's super cute. My kids did it the other day.
All right, so now let's jump over to our underrated candies.
This was, for what it's worth, I'll lead with this one if you want. This was a lot harder for me. I have a lot of honorable mentions on this list. I like a lot of candies that don't seem to be super popular on Halloween. My number 5 was Charleston Chew.
Okay, I thought about putting that one on there, so I can get behind that. Yep.
All right, so you at least understand what I feel like. That's a really good candy that I'll never turn one down. I'm very excited to eat it. You can do the freezer thing too, which is a completely unique texture for any candy bar. Freezing any other candy bar is okay, but it's not the same as a chew. I just love them, and it doesn't seem like those are really hard to find on Halloween. Like, most Halloween bags will have like 1.4 Charleston Chews in them, like tops. Yep. And I wish they had more, like 14.
Yeah, it's definitely like not in like handed out in Halloween enough.
Not very often. Finding them, it's a rare treat.
To me, like, Charleston Chew is like the gas station candy bar for me. Like, I don't buy food from gas stations a lot, but like if I'm on vacation,
when I do, it's a Charleston Chew.
Yeah, that would be one of the things that I would usually get, just because I don't eat it in very many other situations. So I like that. For my number 5, this is also like one of my gas station candy. And I think the biggest part is I just don't see this candy bar enough. And it's not really a chocolate candy, but salted nut rolls. I love everything about these. Like the the nuts and like it's kind of got like a Charleston Chew type filling, and I don't know if it's like a taffy or a cream. It's kind of like a mix between both, but I like the composure of a salted nut roll. It's got a little bit of salty, a little bit of sweet, and I don't see them enough. I think I like them a lot. So
I don't even know. I've never even seen that. I mean, and now that I'm looking at the picture, it does ring a bell. But I don't think I've ever seen those given out on Halloween. They look delicious. I would definitely crush them if they were put in front of me. But I don't really think of them when I think of Halloween candies.
Yeah, that was my one that was kind of my. I understand.
Looks delicious though.
Okay.
Definitely underrated because they should be in Halloween bags. So that's a pretty good take.
All right, where are you at for number 4?
My number 4. Hold on. Was okay. So this is where the order starts to go. I'm gonna go with this one. At number 4, and that's Reese's Fast Break.
Okay.
That is a weird candy that it actually does exist in miniatures, and you do find them in various Halloween bags. So it is a thing. Basically, Reese's Fast Break is just like, so to me, it's just a better Reese's peanut butter cup because it's chocolate with the Reese's peanut butter inside. It's shaped like a candy bar, but it also it's like 50% Reese's peanut butter, 50% nougat. So the whole thing is just softer and moister. So you're basically guaranteed a moist Reese's when you eat it. The whole thing is going to be soft. You're never going to get that crispity, crunchy, Reese's brittly taste. So to me, it's like a safer Reese's. It's always going to be soft and moist, and it's a good Reese's is amongst the best candy bars out there.
Okay, I forgot about this candy bar, and I think I was confusing it for something else, but it's been a long time since I had one of these, but I guess I can't.
It's not common, but like they literally the miniatures do exist. Like we had a couple of them in our Halloween bag. I saw them for sale at like Wegmans to give out. I definitely they do exist in miniatures. They're a thing.
Okay. For my number 4, this one I think I might be overrating because it's my personal favorite candy bar, and I can understand that not as many people like it. It's the Hershey's white chocolate with cookies and cream.
Great take.
I love this candy bar. I like white chocolate more than regular chocolate, and the cookies and cream is like the cookies part is the perfect texture that like a Hershey's bar is missing, and it's great flavor. I love it, and you get to break it up into little pieces. So everything about the white chocolate cookies and cream I love. So that's my
man.
number 4.
I agree. That one's in my honorable mention. But I had it in and out of my list for a while. That's a great, and a lot of people, again, similarly for the reasons that people hate regular Hershey's chocolate, people hate all white chocolate, let alone actual Hershey's white chocolate, because it's not even real chocolate. It's just sugar garbage. But I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, that candy bar tastes great, and get off your high fucking horse. That's a delicious candy bar. I agree. Well chosen by you.
Okay, where are you at for 3?
My number 3 is Heath bar / score bar.
Okay, that's my number 2. So
okay, wow. All right. So let me talk a little bit about Heath and Score. So first of all, Heath, it's just like, crispy British toffee in a chocolate with a little bit of chocolate around it. Score is the same thing. I thought one was the Hershey version and one was the Nestle version till I looked it up, and they're both actually made by Hershey somehow, even though they're the same thing. Score bars are much, much rarer. But we actually did a taste test. Our family did a couple of years ago. We all preferred the Score bar to the Heath bar, not by a lot, because like it's hard to go wrong with any kind of that toffee. My only contention with all of this is that it's actually very easy to make this toffee at home. We make it every year for Christmas. Super easy to make. I can post the recipe somewhere. You can make a giant cookie sheet full of it in like 20 minutes with less than that, probably 14 minutes without a lot of energy, without a lot of effort. And it's way better than both of these even, and cheaper and awesome. But in general, I don't understand why these are not more ubiquitous on Halloween. Like this British toffee is bomb, and it should be everywhere, and it's only some places.
Yeah, I love the flavor. I love the texture, and the toffee kind of like it sticks with you. Like that, I don't know if it's the same thing like a Butterfinger does, but it's a good candy bar to like get your mileage out of. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of bang, a lot of taste, a lot of flavor for your caloric buck, right? Like compare that. Compare 3 ounces of Heath to 3 ounces of Three Musketeers, right? Three Musketeers is a wet blanket, and Heath is just like mana from the gods. Like it's not even close.
Okay, so
What's your number 3?
My number 3. So I don't know if this is like at Christmas when I was little, my family would always get like a mixed bag of the tiny ones. It was Hershey's dark chocolate, Mr. Goodbars, and Crackles. Okay, so I'm putting Crackle as number 3, which is kind of funny because it's basically a Crunch Bar, but to me the texture of it, but like the chocolate part of the Crackle is a little bit softer and just much better. So I like the Crackle. So I'm guessing you're not going to be in agreement here because it seems like it's pretty much like a Crunch Bar, but you barely never see it in Halloween, and I think Crackle is underrated. So
you only see it in those Hershey's miniatures. I am on board with your Crackle. I like Crackle better than Crunch for 2 reasons. One, it comes in those miniatures, which are relatively thin and pleasing texture to the tongue. But also, again, I prefer Hershey's chocolate to Nestle chocolate. So it's just like a better Nestle Crunch Bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely good. It's definitely underrated, and we should see more of them. They only really exist in miniature form. I don't know if I've ever seen just like a traditional Halloween fun-size Crackle Bar. I don't think I ever have.
I don't recall one.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, my number 2 is sort of taking a page out of your book, given how you described the nut roll. Mine is just a version that actually sees play on Halloween, and that's Payday.
Okay.
I love Paydays. It seems like it's very similar. I'm dying to try this nut roll now that I saw the picture of it, and it seems like, you know, a Payday wrapped around a Charleston chew, which sounds freaking delicious.
Yeah, to me a payday is just worse than a salted nut roll. I think there's maybe a little less caramel in a salted nut roll, but paydays are fine.
I think Payday's worse.
I think salted nut roll is better than Payday. So
okay, well I'm learning something today. I'm going to go out of my way to procure salted nut rolls to try this, and I will update my rankings accordingly. But given how much I love Paydays, I'm sure that I will love salted nut rolls as well. But that's just like, you know, I think it's because like little kids, it's like every little kid's least favorite candy is Payday, and their number 1 favorite candy is like Airheads or whatever,
mm-hmm.
you know. So that's just why I think you don't see that many of them on Halloween. But that candy is also bomb, and it should be more places.
All right, yeah, my number 2 was Heath, so we talked about that one already, and I think our number ones are the same. I think they are.
Okay, we're gonna say it. We're gonna say it on the count of 3. We're gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and say it. Okay, ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Take 5.
Oh yes.
So, yeah, this candy bar is not respected enough. It is. No. It is a tier 1 candy, and you rarely see it in like the Halloween suite. And there's nothing bad you can say about a Take 5.
It might be the actual best candy bar. It's right. It's in the conversation if it's not the best. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically like it's chocolate outside of peanut butter plus caramel plus pretzel, all wrapped up in chocolate. So you have the sweet salty, you have a crunch to go with the peanut butter caramel moistness inside, all wrapped up in Hershey's chocolate. We actually usually, when I can get my hands on them, we give out, amongst other things, we're always the house that gives out full-size candy bars, because of course, like imagine being, I'm probably just, you know, throwing shade on you right now, I would imagine, but imagine being an adult of means on Halloween and not giving out full-size candy bars. Like I don't even know how one could do that. So we of course don't do that. We give out full-size candy bars to everybody who comes, and I try to go out of my way to have at least get one box of like whatever 36 Take 5s to have in the mix to give out. I couldn't find them this year, and I was sad about it. But usually that's in our mix, and since nobody takes them because they don't even know what it is, I usually end Halloween with like 25 full-size Take 5s in my house.
Ooh, that is
and just
dangerous.
Crush them over the next week. It's amazing. Yeah, it's so good. But this year I couldn't find them.
All right.
Supply chains, I guess.
Yep. Given that we did not talk about this, I think our lists were pretty similar.
This is we like. It's gonna sound like we had a whole brew session about this, but this was all off the top of not off the top of our heads. I did a little bit of research. We were really, really similar. That's I don't know what that says.
Yeah, I did know that you like Take 5 because you have talked about that before. Okay, so that was fun. I was really looking forward to that. Hopefully, chat was enjoying that. But we are going to get back to some Magic. We have a match of the Premodern Super Gauntlet. So if you're not familiar with what this is, Mike Arnold has organized a showcase. It's kind of like a tournament, but not really. There's 64 different pre-modern decks. They're put into a single elimination bracket, and they're played by 8 different players. And so they're working their way through the bracket to ultimately crown one gauntlet champion. And so it's similar to like March Madness, where you got the brackets, and the community has, like, some of them have voted on them. Were you able to fill out a bracket, Mano?
I didn't. I did not see this one in time. I have in the past, though. I have voted for these in the past. Yeah.
So I guess if you haven't yet, there usually is one when we get down to like a Sweet 16 or maybe like a Elite 8 that will release another bracket and then kind of redo it.
I'll do it for that,
because it's pretty easy to get your bracket busted in the 64 decks. So what we have tonight, we have one definitely interesting deck. I guess I should add, so of the 8 people, they all submitted one of their like own kind of rogue deck, and I believe this is the rogue deck choice of Mike Harris, and this is the Familiar Speculation deck. So let me bring this up. So yes, blue, white, green, Familiar Speculation. So what it seems like this deck is so the Sunscape Familiar is a 1 and a white for an 0/3, and it's a wall, so it's Defender, and it makes your blue spells and green spells cost 1 less. So if you just look at that, if you're just casting blue and green spells after that, it's kind of like a Birds of Paradise, I guess. But the cool thing is when you cast Frantic Search, not only does it reduce a cost for the Frantic Search, so you get to gain a mana there, but then like you should be casting another blue or green spell, so it's like 2 mana. So that's I think like the cool combination of where you get to do that. And beyond that, there's the value engine of Quiet Speculation, of put some flashback cards in the graveyard and then just go to town with some value. There's Tradewind Rider, which is always a card that is awesome, and it just quite isn't efficient enough for pre-modern. So maybe
I'm not gonna lie, I have 4 different decks right now in my mana stack that curve Sunscape Familiar into Tradewind Rider. So that you had me at that combo.
All right.
When I first saw this.
Yeah, so this is a deck that I've never seen in action, so it'll be pretty new, but it looks really exciting and a lot of fun. And
I mean, what does this deck do if it doesn't draw Sunscape Familiar, or if it just gets bolted, right? It's just like the clunkiest garbage red blue green deck I've ever seen, I feel like.
I guess you're just like Frantic Searching into Call the Herd. I don't know.
Like that's not great, Bob. This one, it doesn't. This to me, like, it's barely tier 2, right? Like it's maybe at the very, very low end of tier 2, and it's knocking on the door of tier 3. I don't know how this deck made it into the bracket, but I guess when you need 64 decks, sure.
Well, everyone got a submission of their own. They got to like make a rogue deck or pick a rogue deck, and I think this was Mike Harris's submission of, I think, is a deck that he created.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's blue green. This is a Mike Harris brew.
Yep. Yeah. And so it will be up against the powerful Greater Good combo deck. So Mano, this is something that you're familiar with. Do you want to talk about how this deck works?
Yeah, I actually haven't played it I feel like it was almost a year ago at this point that I snuck into a top 16 with this thing. Basically what you do is cast Greater Good, and then you cast Phyrexian Dreadnought and sack it to Greater Good, and you just get to draw 12 cards for 1 mana. When you do that, you're hopefully going to draw a bunch of, or some amount of Elvish Spirit Guides. You play 4 of those and 4 Lotus Petals, and hopefully another Dreadnought and or a Reanimate to reanimate your Dreadnought that already died, and keep the loop going until eventually you can generate enough mana with Petals and Spirit Guides and Dark Rituals to either play to win with what win kind is he using? Is it
he has Replenish and Pandemonium.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's it. He has a Sapling Burst too, I assume, in there somewhere.
Yes. You also
must be that. So
you could Nostalgic
get
Dreams
both of those in the yard,
yep.
And you can replenish Pandemonium or Sapling Burst into play and win that way in one shot. You can also Pandemonium and just hard cast Pandemonium, cast a couple of Dreadnoughts. You can hard cast Sapling. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but once you start drawing 12 cards multiple times for 1 mana, you just draw your whole deck. And you can generally do this if you're undisrupted. Like you play Hickory Woodlots, you play Dark Ritual, you play 4 Petals, you play 4 Spirit Guides. You can do this on like turn 2. It's not like It happens from time to time for sure. So it can happen extremely quickly. There's also the Academy Rector package in there. You can sack that to greater good to get, other parts of, or just sack it to ball therapy to get your greater good. So there's a whole 3 Academy Rector engine going on that sort of ties the whole room together, along with 4, what are they, Enlightened Tutors to find the greater goods in the first place. So, but that's the deck.
All right.
In a nutshell.
So I'm excited to see this in action. So let me bring up the correct screen. And hopefully this is going to work the way I want. Okay, we got... I guess I need to flip this one around. And then I think we're good to go. Okay, so let me jump to where we need to. Looks like it's 1 minute 45. Okay, and here we are. So neither player has mulliganed, and Peter is on the play. Peter is the one playing the greater good deck.
So is it just me? Like Harris has no disruption, right? Like literally 0?
In the main deck, I don't know if he has like Silver Bolts, like Rave Revelation in the main, because you do have Quiet Speculation, so I didn't see... let me pull up a text deck list. But
actually, you sent me the list, right? I'll look it up. But it looks like he has no... If you have no disruption, and his clock is obviously way slower, Greater Good is going to smash him in game 1, I would imagine. This could be turn 2 Greater Good. This could be a turn 2 win.
Well, here's a Greater Good, so...
He has a mana to pedal out Dreadnought. This could be doing it on turn 2. We just talked about. Dreadnought, be Dreadnought. Okay, yeah, I'll draw 12 for 1 mana. Okay.
Oh, reset the light.
I assume you want to respond to the trigger. Yeah, okay, yep, sack. Yep. That's insane. He's doing it. Turn 2.
So we could have a quick match here.
So he drew 12. He has a discard 3 to greater good because it says draw cards equal to that creature's power and discard 3, but he's going to have 3, useless lands or whatever at this point. So that should be no problem.
Yeah, drawing 12 seems pretty fun.
Yeah, so he discards 3 lands. Right. This is honestly the most fun I've ever had in Premodern, I think. Like literally 1 mana draw 12. There aren't a lot of feelings like that. So he's still going off. He got 1 mana spell. Let's see what he's going to do. Another Dreadnought? If he has a second Dreadnought, he's probably just good to go. Dark Ritual. Okay.
So like a Reanimate or...
He could be Duressing and Cabal Therapying here just to get the ball rolling before he does stuff, just to make sure the coast is clear. Okay, Reanimate. Yep. So he's in very, very good shape right now because he has 2 black floating in his pool.
Do you ever fizzle from this point? Like,
it's possible now because he doesn't have a land drop. He already played one pedal. It's not likely, but it is possible. Even if he does fizzle this turn, what's Harris going to do? Play land and say go, and he'll get to untap and do whatever he wants. So
sure.
Even fizzling here probably doesn't matter. But it's definitely possible to fizzle. He really needs to draw a Lotus Petal. Or either Dreadnought again, or Reanimate again, or draw Lotus Petal, because he needs some kind of non-black mana to do anything at this point, right? He needs to cast Replenish, or Sapperling Burst, or Pandemonium, or something. So,
yeah, Tom says this greater combo reminds him of Griselbrand from Modern. I don't know if you're familiar with that deck, but I definitely can see the comparison.
Yeah.
So, is Peter really at... Is that 6 or 9? How is he taking that much damage?
No, he shouldn't be. He should be very high.
I mean, I guess Reanimate makes you lose a little bit, but...
Yeah, but makes you lose 1, right? It costs 1?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that must be just a fat finger. He took 2 from...
Ancient.
Yeah, he's not taking a lot. So now so he had to use this pedal. He used his second pedal to Enlightened Tutor. He probably has another draw 12, so he's going to draw whatever he tutors for.
He's got 4 mana floating, I think. 4 black mana.
Yeah, and... I think so too. Or he has 4 black floating. He's used 2 pedals. Oh, there's also a very important Nostalgic Dreams in this deck, which with 2 late Spirit Guides lets you recycle all of your pedals that you've already used and all your Dark Rituals and all whatever the hell you want to build up even more mana to do all this. So the Nostalgic Dreams is extremely important in this deck.
So Pandemonium is the card that is put on the top.
But did he not? He just started drawing cards without playing the Dreadnought? Dreadnought. Okay, draw 12. So it's if he just enlightened tutor for Pandemonium, it's got to be academic at this point. He's probably going to discard. The cool thing about Greater Good is that normally the draw 3 would be a drawback, but you actually just get to discard your combo pieces, discards Pandemonium and Burst, and then just cast Replenish, hopefully on this turn. One thing that's a little awkward with this deck is if all of your stuff, if you have like 10 cards left in your deck and there's very important stuff there, you might not necessarily be able to get to it. There are lines where you can just hard cast Saproling Burst and make a 6 and draw 6 and make a 5 and draw 5 and do that kind of shit.
Yeah, because you can't draw up to 12. It has to be exactly 12.
You have to draw the full 12.
Yeah.
So I've definitely played Saproling Burst and just, slow grinded a few cards to get there.
That's cool.
This is a very cool way to open this. So Spirit Guide, discard. I'm assuming it's double Spirit Guide for Nostalgic Dreams. Is that what's going to happen? Probably?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it. I mean, I'm assuming he has it all. He's going to get back all of his petals to get his white mana to cast Replenish, I presume. I don't know what he actually discarded from here.
Pandemonium is in his hand, so he's probably just going to cast the Pandemonium.
He can get whatever he needs, right? He has a bunch of mana. He can just get another Dreadnought if he has to go off. He can hard cast the Saproling Burst if he has to do it the hard way. There's a million things he can do.
Does he have enough cards to discard to Nostalgic Dreams?
I think he could probably swing it. Yeah. His hand, he probably has 20 plus cards in his hand. Look at how much fun he's having too. Like, it's literally the most fun in all of Premodern, I think.
I do like the aspect of combos where it's not just like the Splinter Twin type thing where it's just like you win immediately, that you still have to go through a bunch of like dexterity manual motions. So there's like a chance that you could fizzle. And I really like those types of combos because it feels so cool when you're doing it.
It's different than just the I win.
Yeah. How much fun is Mike having this game?
I think he's having fun.
Okay.
He's probably never seen this before, so.
I'm sure he's aware of it. He might not have played against it, but I'm sure he's aware of the deck, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's aware. So he's casting. So he's just going to play 2 Dreadnoughts and win the old-fashioned way. Hand-to-knot.
The old-fashioned way.
Hand-to-knot was a deck, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was a real thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Mike says, well, I would have had this Sunscape familiar.
That's what I mean, right?
Yep.
If somehow Peter does fizzle, Mike goes, cast a 03, go. Right? Like, it just doesn't matter, so.
All right, well.
That was cool. That was insane. I said turn 2 wins are possible, and then he did it. So that was great.
All right, we'll bring up the sideboards for the deck. So things got to get better for Mike here. Like, Cabal Therapies. I mean, even like Corrosion Reclamation could do something. It could counter like a Reanimate. Ray of Revelation seems great. Serenity is a little slow, but
yeah,
Ray of Revelation seems huge.
Yeah, because you're always going to get the one use out of the Greater Good.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily, because if you Ray it in response to casting the Dreadnought.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. So those are definitely coming in. I mean, regardless, even if you couldn't, you're still doing that. Yeah, Cabal Therapy has to come in. He can take out just a bunch of his just jank, like Glory. He doesn't need Glory. Like, are those Blastoderms? What are those 4s?
Yep, Blastoderms. There's 3 Blastoderms.
Yeah.
You can take out Wonder. Don't think you really need the flying to go over.
Right, Glory, Wonder. Like, just shave some of the clunkiest stuff and bring in all of that removal, and that makes it But that is a dream, absolute dream. Game 1. I don't think Mike can literally ever win game 1. I don't think.
Certainly not.
He's gonna get like 7 turns every time.
I would say on the draw, I don't think he could have done anything on the. Well,
I mean, what's his fastest clock?
No,
turn 1 bird, turn 2.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at sideboard cards. He couldn't do anything game 1. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at.
So basically, Peter got unlucky. He wasted his insane turn 2 draw in game 1. He needed to save that for game 2 or 3.
Okay, so.
One of the most potent cards in this sideboard is City of Solitude. It doesn't do a whole lot here though, because I mean, it's okay. It's good against Ray of Revelation.
Sure.
But Mike just doesn't have that many instances. He doesn't have like a pile of disenchants and stuff, you know.
But the
So it's
sequence
not
of
that
like
insane.
because discard is not very good against Ray because it has flashback. Like I think City of Solitude might be the plan of put that into play. I mean, the problem is Ray of Revelation does have flashback, so they could destroy the city and then destroy the greater good.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I think you need some kind of barrier to protect because these cyborg games seem like they're all about Ray of Revelation. I mean, maybe even like Tormod's Crypt comes in. I don't know. Sterling Grove is a way to protect your.
I think you might want that Sterling Grove. If he has no counters, the problem also with this deck is you can't really afford to sideboard in more than like maybe 3 cards. You know, there's not a lot of wiggle room here. So I think Sterling Grove comes in. No. I could see 1 City of Solitude, maybe like 1 Sterling Grove, 1 City of Solitude or something.
What do you usually take out?
I'm trying to remember what I took out. I think I would shave like an Elvish Spirit Guide sometimes. On the draw, I would shave a land a lot on the draw. Okay. So he probably would take out maybe not 2 mana sources, but definitely 1 mana source on the draw. And then 3 reanimates. Can't cut that. Maybe. I mean, I might get greedy and just literally take out a Spirit Guide and a land. You could also maybe take out an Academy Rector. So a little bit clunky, a little slow. If that's your plan, it might just not be enough. Does he have swords too? He's probably not going to keep many in, but getting your Rector swords is kind of annoying. But I definitely take out one possibly 2 mana sources, maybe a Rector for the last card. Possibly like a single reanimate could go too.
Okay, so we'll jump back down the match. So we are at the start of game 2. So Mike is on the play. Peter has a mulligan to 6. So okay. I mean, I have to imagine that the Greater Good deck mulligans a decent amount.
Yeah, it does.
Would you say it's good at mulligan, like, or do you think it really hurts it when it starts with less than 7 cards?
It mulligans a lot, and it's bad at mulliganing. So it's a very it's a glass cannon. Okay. It really is.
So here's a duress from.
This might be my exact list, I think, which I've changed a little bit since then. He's only playing 2 duresses. I've upgraded it to 4 duresses. That seems crazy. I don't know why I only played 2. Again, I'll blame Robin Lund for that because I worked on the deck with him and Sean Sullivan and a few. Oh, fuck, somebody else was involved.
Well, Frantic Search was taken with a duress, and it leaves Mike with a kind of unimpressive hand of a bunch of lands.
Yeah, that seems like a horrible keep, right?
I mean, I think you're expecting that Frantic Search to do a lot, but you get to see 2 cards for free. But I mean, you don't mind discarding a number of cards in the deck, like Roar.
I guess he only has he only has the 2 duresses. Peter's never gonna Cabal Therapy Frantic Search. I don't think.
Sure.
So he got a little bit unlucky there. Rector.
Yep, there is a Rector.
Take 3, cast Rector. Okay.
Oh, so this is a way to sacrifice Academy Rector. I didn't realize that.
Yep.
A
lot of little backdoor stuff. You can also like turn 1. What do you do? Turn 1 like ritual. You can Cabal Therapy yourself
and name Academy Rector, and then reanimate it back, and then flash it back.
Yes, that's the play you can make sometimes.
So unfortunately for Peter, the Greater Good is in play after the Dreadnought has died. So it's not like he gets double dipping on getting the Rector sacked and getting the cards for Greater Good. But he does have a Greater Good in play, so.
And Mike's just on 2 unknown cards. He has those 2 lands in his hand and whatever he drew off the top. Unless they're Ray of Revelation, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Oh, Factor Fiction. So he's going to get a Ray right now. That sucks. 1. 2, no. 3, no. 4, yeah, okay. What is that? 4? Oh, that's Frantic Surge. Okay, so all of these cards are pretty terrible. I don't even know how I break those up, to be honest.
I don't know. So Frantic Search and Tradewind Rider go to his hand.
He took what? Frantic Search and Tradewind? Jeez. Yeah. That seems like a great turn for Mike now. Frantic Search into Tradewind, and then have a Tradewind live the turn after. Seems like a pretty good spot to be.
Yeah, if you have like Tradewind Rider if that's active, like the Greater Good deck like can't win, right? I mean,
right, because they just bounce. You just bounce Greater Good, and that's it. Yeah. So he's probably going to have a 1-turn window here, and he's going to Frantic Search first, and he could also draw a Rave Revelation right now, and just basically end it.
So do you think Peter, given the way he used that Dreadnought to sack the Rector, does that mean he has a way to either reanimate the Dreadnought or have another one in his hand?
I don't know for sure. You might make that play even if you don't have it, because you just need to get the ball rolling with Greater Good. And if you draw an Enlightened Tutor or something, you can just tutor for the other. You can tutor for Dreadnought, so it's fine. This to me smells like he has Enlightened Tutor upkeep for Dreadnought.
Okay. Well, here's Quiet Speculation. That will be able to get Rave Revelation and put it in the graveyard.
Yeah, and he has a green mana, so that's GG's basically. Because Peter's all in on this Greater Good. He probably has 1 or 2 cards in hand. Actually, looks like he has 3 cards. So he obviously does not have another Greater Good because he just jumped through all of those hoops to get the first one in play. So, so he's dead.
The Shining Star of Rave Revelation.
Yeah. I remember I needed 1 Ray of Revelation for PSS 2, and I couldn't find any, and Flint actually just mailed me 4 Ray of Revelations. They ordered them from Star City, of all places.
The new, I think it's from Innistrad or something. I really like the art on that one. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, funnily enough, I did have one of those, but I wasn't about to play it in freaking PSS. That's just embarrassing.
This art is really cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I can barely see it around the borders. So he's going to play this Tradewind and have Ray of Revelation up. Oh no, what's he playing?
There's Acorn Harvest. So
what?
There's still one of it's.
Fuck, man, this Greater Good deck is going to lose to this pile of turds. God damn it! You can tell I'm quite biased here.
I always I like Acorn Harvest and like what it's trying to do, but the front half of it is just embarrassingly inefficient.
I don't hate Acorn Harvest here, but it's just like, what's actually happening? You know, like, come on.
It's
no fucking around, just doing it now. Yeah. So he's in really tough shape right now. He has to rip Greater Good, basically, or maybe Enlightened Tutor for Greater Good. Yeah, land go. Yeah.
All right, we got some squirrel beats going down.
Is that actually Acorn Harvest? What? It is, right?
He's got like a custom token.
But why? He sacked 1 to therapy.
To therapy. I guess I didn't write down what he named, but
yeah. He missed whatever it was. He probably didn't. He probably just named Dreadnought, but we should know his hand at this point.
There's 2 Dreadnoughts in the graveyard right now. It's Duress, Dreadnought, Greater Good. So he must have named Dreadnought in hit.
Yeah, he must. I mean, that's the only thing you can name there is Dreadnought.
You can name Enlightened Tutor, but
yeah, or I guess Enlightened Tutor. Yeah, actually, you probably do name Enlightened Tutor because there's 4 left and there was only 3 Dreadnoughts.
Sure.
So this one's basically over. There's a lot of games where this Greater Good deck is just sitting here with nothing in play and 5 mana and your opponent doing its thing and just like the writing's on the wall.
Well, you get to have so much fun in the games that you go off that you got to be a little bit miserable in some of the others, right? To balance things out.
You're right. It's only fair. Yeah. I mean, that first game, the turn 2 win after drawing 60 cards or whatever, it's just about the most fun you can have playing Magic.
All right, we got a Sunscape Familiar in play.
If I didn't Mike take the trade wind pile, I feel like I would want that trade wind in play.
There's still a trade wind in his hand, right?
Yeah, I think I'd want it just in case.
Well,
trade wind.
Here's a Cabal Therapy. It is naming trade wind writer.
Yeah. Okay. So he's still leaving himself open. There's not really a clock here, like he has a few turns to just. If he can just hit runner, he has a shot.
Well, yeah, I would say like Call the Herd has added a 3/3. That's what the Rogue Elephant is a token. So the clock
is 3 + 1. That's still 4.
Yeah.
Actually, he's going to play Blastoderm. That puts him to 10. Derm won't quite kill him, but he won't be able to tap any of his City of Brasses or anything. So he's basically dead.
Yeah.
Jeez, how good is Flashback Deep Analysis when Sunscape Familiar in play? It feels like Ancestral Recall. 1 mana draw 2. Feels like Bill from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, was that not? That was Quiet Spec. That wasn't Flashback. Deep, but whatever.
He did cast Deep Analysis earlier.
Yeah, he can get some Deep Analysis anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right, so he's just going to play Blastoderm, and he has to have 1 combo piece in his hand, which we're fairly certain he doesn't have, and he would have to rip the other one to be able to do anything here, Peter.
Okay, so do you know the Deep Analysis cycle? Like, there's 1 for each color.
Yeah.
So, what is the ranking of each of those? So, Deep Analysis is number 1.
Yeah, I got to remember what the other ones even do.
So Flash of Defiance is the red one.
It's like
it makes like green and white creatures not be able to block, I think.
Is that all it does? I thought it was like all creatures can't block or something.
Players can't block with green and or white creatures this turn.
Okay.
The green one is Acorn Harvest.
That one's probably the second best. Yeah. Oh no, is crippling fatigue is the other one?
Crippling fatigue is -2/-2.
-2, -1, I think.
-2, -2. 1 black.
That card is good. That card
Yep.
should be played more in Premodern. I think it's good.
I like it because it's like you could get some card advantage, but it's just not efficient at all. And then what is the? I don't think there's a white one. I think this is a cycle where white didn't. Is there a white?
They
one?
just skipped white. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, Torment had some weird things. Is there a white one? Oh, yeah, yeah, there is. What is the white one? Chat, help me out.
I feel like it's like something about gaining life.
I would say preventing damage, but which seems kind of weird to I'm gonna try and see if I can find this with a search.
And that's game. Yeah. Thanks, Mike, for taking all of that time. Taking 4 minutes to set it all up perfectly, just to have Peter rip his land and move on with our lives.
All right, I'm briefly finishing a search, and then Spirit Flare. This was actually a good limited card, I think. So it's 4 mana, tap and untap target creature you control. If you do, it deals damage equal to the power to target attacking or blocking creature an opponent controls. So it needs a little bit of setup, but back in the day, this card was, I think, slightly above average, or maybe good.
I do not recognize that card at all. So
okay, let me jump ahead to our game 3. So let's see, 30 minutes. All right, so Peter's on the play. He's mulligan to 5, so he's putting 2 cards back. So
yeah, that's a problem. That's really the problem with Greater Good. It's just super clunky. And he's just going to therapy, naming greater good, and that'll be that.
So game one, this deck is a lot more fun than maybe the other games.
It's better. It definitely is better in game one. Yes.
Let me bring up my notes to figure out what this Cabal Therapy is naming. He is naming.
Did he name Frantic Search?
He named Frantic Search. So
holy shit! Okay.
What did you say before? Well, we've had this experience before, haven't we? Where you said you never ever named Mog Flunkies with the Cabal Therapy, and then that happened.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit. So what is he therapy? He must therapy, I guess, just greater good, or maybe Enlightened Tutor.
He names greater good. That's what I have in my notes. So he shows a hand of Reanimate and Ancient Tomb. So the top of the deck needs to be kind to Peter for this to go well, I think.
But he has time. Like, he has a lot of time here.
Though, well, I think the real clock is like if Mike finds a Ray of Revelation, then that's like the real clock, I feel like. Because Ray of Revelation just seems like it makes things so miserable for the greater good deck.
Rest. Okay. Fuck. Just gonna play a Derm on turn 4.
I mean, a Blastoderm will do might just be enough here.
It might, because he's gonna have to tap his Ancient Tomb and his City Brass a couple times to do anything. So, yeah, that sucks. Mulligan to 5 on the play. He really gained back a bunch of Utils by Jesus Christ. So he can just get a Ray of Revelation now as part of his intuition package and just block it up. Yeah, I mean this is it, right?
Yeah.
I think this is because you can't. The problem is you can't ever get rid of the Ray, right?
Yeah, I guess like
sitting there forever. You can't duress it.
Is like the only thing.
Yeah, maybe for that reason he did bring in a single crypt. I could see that. That doesn't seem like the worst in retrospect.
Yeah, because these Cyborg games seem like they're all about Ray of Revelation.
Yeah.
You can just attack with squirrels all day long as you have the Ray. So. All right, we got a nice spread of Cabal Therapy, Acorn Harvest, and the Ray of Revelation.
Traditional intuition.
What do you give him here? You give him the Acorn Harvest?
Yeah, you can't give him. You have to give him the Acorn Harvest, right? Yeah. And then he just plays. I guess. I mean, maybe you just play Acorn Harvest and then flashback one of your therapies on Reanimate to see his hand, and then you can flashback the other one. You know, maybe that's better than playing Derm here. I don't know.
So, do you think Deep Analysis has been cast more than all the other cards in that cycle combined? It's
the only other one that's even remotely close, I think, is Crippling Fatigue. But yeah, I think for sure. Yeah,
I think so too. I mean, I don't know. Like, it would have to be. I guess maybe I could underestimate like the amount of like casual Magic that was played, and where like Acorn Harvest and the other cards might get cast more. But yeah, Deep Analysis got cast a lot in multiple formats. So,
all right, hold on. We're live here. We're live. He's going to be able to cast Greater. Oh no, but Ray of Revelation's in the graveyard. Yeah, we're not even talking about. We're not live. We're
getting
dead.
Sterling Grove.
All right, I guess that's step 1. Cast Sterling Grove. Has to protect his potential top decks.
So, fun fact about Sterling Grove: it's one of the few foreign cards that I had. I didn't want to. I cheaped out and bought the. I don't know if it's Chinese or whatever, but they were like $5 a piece as compared to like 12. And so
yeah, why are some Japanese pre-modern cards insanely cheap compared to like less than half the price?
I
don't quite understand.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think foreign cards are not super popular with Commander, and I think this is a card that's expensive because of that. And because if you have one ofs in all your decks and you're like, oh, I don't know what that card does, and you're like, well, here, just read it, and you're like, well, I don't read Japanese. I think that's why. I'm not 100%.
So maybe it's the cards that have gained value due to Commander popularity, because it's not all of them. Sometimes the Japanese version of pre-modern cards is about the same as the English. Occasionally it can trade over if it's used to be like a legacy staple or something. But cards like Sterling Grove and random Commander hitters, I'll bet you that's exactly it. The better the card is in Commander, the bigger the English-Japanese spread is in the market. It's got to be that.
That's my guess, yeah. I mean, maybe Cube has also like a thing, but I don't think Cube drives the price as much as Commander does.
No, and people care less about foreign cards and cubes, I think.
Call the Herd, a fan favorite. Like, it's hard to root against the deck. Oh,
yeah, it's hard to root against Call the Herd. That's for damn sure.
This one is just a normal Call the Herd. It's not a test print one, so.
And I still like it. I would still cast it.
All right.
Well, that card does exist in Russian, so you should be at least playing Russian ones if you can.
Oh.
It's a time spiral.
Time shift. Okay.
Yeah. Those are the only real Russian pre-modern cards, are the time spiral, time shifted cards.
You forgot about Russian River.
Wow.
I had that one ready.
I think you got. Whew. All right, you got me. I can admit when I'm beaten.
Yeah, there's just no words after that.
Yeah.
Rushing River would be pretty good here. Just clear Mike's board.
Oh, he's fully tapped out. I mean, just none of this matters. Like, oh wait, what was that? Oh, he said go. He drew a card and said go. Oh geez. So it's just over.
Yeah, I guess if with the tap out, like if his hand had Greater Good, land, and like a Lotus Petal and Dreadnought, but I guess he only has one card in his hand, so it's kind of hard for all those things to be there. But
he could cheat. He could peel a couple cards. That's his only way here.
You think
draw 2.
You just draw 12? Maybe his opponent won't notice. He'll discard 3.
I mean, 12 is aggressive, but you could probably peel 2, maybe the third card. It's possible you could get away with 3 here. Pull the old Jason Gordon.
You could maybe say like, oh, I've got some connection issues.
Yeah.
My whereby is not working.
Oh, I don't know what happened. Cast Greater Good, cast Dreadnought. Oh yeah, look at that.
All right, Ray of Revelation targeting the Sterling Grove.
Jeez.
So you could use its ability. I mean, you could put a Greater Good on top, but you're not casting that for a bit. And there's still a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, right?
In Mike's graveyard? No, I think he used them both.
I think it's above that Intuition. Yep, yeah, there's one there.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. So then he has to have land. If he has land, he can play land Greater Good. He'll take 3. He'll take 5 on his turn. But then he will be able to cast a Dreadnought if he rips one. So he has to have land in hand, a green land, no less, or Elvish Spirit Guide, or Lotus Petal. Oh, so he's not even going for it, because he can't, because he knows he has... So he must not have a land, right? Because otherwise, he'd be able to just Cabal Therapy, whatever he tutored for.
I'm reading Andrew's comment. If you're Russian going into the bathroom and American when leaving, what are you in the bathroom? I don't know if this is like a joke or a riddle.
It's definitely a joke.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Canadian? I don't know. European.
Oh God.
We can admire the squirrel tokens right now, right? Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of having actual tokens for like having proper tokens. You know, it doesn't feel old school to me. I want to use whatever you have lying around.
Oh, you want to use Bram? You want to use Bram Snapfinger's tokens? That's what you want.
I do, but I use those for everything.
Yeah.
But I also will take crumpled up pieces of paper, upside down magic cards, whatever random coins, whatever the hell you have lying around, dollar bills. Anything's better than a proper token.
Okay.
I think.
So yeah, the thing that I have been accustomed to is I use pictures of. It used to be pictures of myself, and now it's pictures of my kids.
Yeah, that's fair. You could do that.
Yeah, and so I have different art. So if I could have one be an elephant and one be a squirrel and whatnot. So that's usually what I do.
Yeah, using proper tokens to me is kind of like using a playmat, which is also kind of like bringing your own lands for like limited tournaments. You know, people would bring like their own whatever basic they like to play limited with.
You're naming.
That's
You're just talking about me. That's what I use the.
You're not cool. What can I say?
I use the unhinged lands for limited and the unglued ones for constructed.
Yeah, that's not okay. You have to use whatever they have in the land box. That's how limited works.
I completely disagree with that. Like, okay, so you'll spend all this money, all this time, and like loving art about like certain basic lands or whatnot. Maybe not you, but most people. Like, how hard is it to carry around 12 of each of those to the limited tournament that you go to?
It's not hard. It's just not in the spirit. Limited is just like whatever they have. You play 3 Mercadian Masks lands, 4 Revised lands, 3 Innistrad lands, whatever, and that's your land mix for this draft. You shuffle them all up and you go. That is the spirit of Limited.
I'm gonna die on my hill. No, if I'm drawing a land, if I get flooded, I want to enjoy the lands that I'm looking at. They're gonna be the arts that I brought with.
It feels try-hardy to me, man.
I'm a try-hard. That's exactly.
It's the opposite. So to me, it's the opposite of. So caring about your lands in Limited is almost as bad as not caring about your lands in Constructed. Have you seen people? I've seen this. Like before a GP, people are like, oh, like a constructed GP. They walk up to the land station and they grab like 2 islands out of the land station for their Grand Prix deck or whatever. You know, like that is not okay either. Like there's things that it's correct to care about and things that it's not. It is definitely correct to care about your constructed basic lands. That's extremely important. The opposite, though, is true for Limited, sadly, for you.
I'll disagree there, but I do agree on the constructed portion. I don't understand how there's people that like are so invested in the game of Magic and they like are using these land box lands. That's what I don't understand.
I've literally seen this. These are good players playing legitimate, whatever decks, and they're just like, oh, I need 2 islands, off to the land box. Like what? All right, well that sucked. Greater Good off to such a hot start and then fizzled so hard. I mean, that's what the deck does. It mulligans to 5 and gets Cabal Therapy and loses. That is Greater Good in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, the Greater Good deck is knocked out. What round
is this? Do you know?
This is the round of 64, so this is still the first round, I think.
Damn it!
I'm pretty sure I had Greater Good advancing this round. Kudos to the familiar speculation deck. And Rave Revelation did a lot of heavy lifting here. So
this had to be like the 8-9 matchup, right? Like 7-10, something like that.
I don't think anything was seeded that way. I think it was more because they also have to do like they prioritize like the Americans playing the Americans. So I think it's more of it's not seeded. It's the players they draft the decks that they kind of want, and then they figure out the scheduling. So
I see.
Not exactly true to a March Madness in that way, but still pretty entertaining. So we can see the sideboarding. Rave Revelations and Cabal Therapies came in, and then I think you just shaved on some of the more expensive cards.
Some of the clunkers, the Glory and the Wonder that are just irrelevant. I'm more interested to see how Peter sideboarded, but it's probably only 1 or 2. He obviously brought in City of Solitude, like we said, at least a 1 of. You want to have 1 in your deck, that's for sure.
All right.
Well, sad way to end it for Greater Good, especially after just literally going off in that game 1 on turn 2. That's exactly how we drew it up. But
well, we at least did get to see it go off one game. It would be a lot less impressive if it just rolled over and died both the games.
Right. So you got to see that was turn 2. That was a turn 2 win going away, like not even close. That was very cool.
Yeah,
and it got to do all of its things. It kept drawing everything. Then it did the Elvish Spirit Guides for Nostalgia Dreams, brought back everything, did the Pandemonium, just the whole 9 yards in one game. So that was very cool.
All right, so we're looking at our schedule for what we have back for next week. We're back to the more traditional schedule, 2 matches of Premodern Showdown series. We won't be doing any candy bar reviews anymore, and unfortunately, we won't have Mano in the booth. We'll be back with Flint. I don't know. That's unfortunate. but
possibly, fortunately, depending on who you're asking.
yeah,
but that's fine.
But yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Mano for joining us, for filling in for Flint. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was a blast. Appreciate it.
So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the candy rating. Maybe it was a little bit too in depth, but hopefully a little bit of non-magic stuff is some things that you can enjoy. But hope you also like the magic content, and I will be doing more coverages of the Super Gauntlet, and so might try and mix in different commentators here and there, and we'll see how those things work out. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And is there anything you wanted to add? I guess I'll do a direct plug-in for All Things Considered. That's the podcast that Mano hosts. You've been doing for it. It's like about is it almost 3 years at this point?
It's more. It's like 3.5 years at this point. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
So a lot of old school content, but you'll do a number of pre-modern shows every now and then. So a lot of fun and a good amount of nonsense every time. Like there are times where you do get into things, making lists of rating things or hot takes of what's good and what's not of non-magic.
I'm not a man who's afraid to share his opinion. That's for sure.
So if you haven't listened to that, I would recommend it. I've been a fan since day one, and I look forward to whenever you come up with an episode. I'm pretty quick to download it. And did you listen to the last one? Because you weren't on it. Well, maybe
not all of it. I listened to a big chunk of it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get all the way through it yet.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So one of the topics, I'll just briefly go over it. It was talking about, what was the event? The Chalice, or is it Chalice?
Yeah.
But one of the things they did was like a sealed pool with like a custom set that it was did Jeff Liu do it? He was the primary person.
He designed most of the cards in the set with some input from some other beasts.
Yeah, so he kind of did it with a theme of an idea of, he wanted Crawworm to be like a decent card. So like big creatures of like that nostalgic things. And so he had a number of old school cards, but the rarities were shifted. And so like Moxes were actually uncommon. So like people were opening Moxes and they're thinking that they were rare because it's just ingrained in your brain. And so they would play sealed events, but it was also for ante, and then you also could trade throughout the event. And this was over a course of, is it 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, like 2.5 days. Yeah.
And so I thought it was so interesting because it's kind of like Cube mixed with like a social experiment. It's just right up my alley in terms of like, there's so much room to play around with things and push buttons and turn knobs to like create a different play environment. And to me, it sounds really cool, and I loved it. So there was a deep dive on that, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely, social experiment is the right word for it. And the cool thing about it, I thought, just for a quick second, is that it does take you back to it's one of the few times it really feels like the early days where you're opening packs. You have no idea what's in them. You have no idea how rare something is. The only way to figure it out is to walk around to other people that you know and see what they have and try and trade with them and see what their decks look like. And it really, really does feel like when you open your first revised starter deck or whatever the hell thing you opened the first time. It's one of the, even traditional old school doesn't really capture that, right? Because we all have, power and Juzams and all that shit, right? And those decks don't resemble true 94 decks. But this does. This is exactly like open your starter and you just flying blind. You have no idea what's going on, and it's wonderful.
All right. Well, yeah, I would recommend checking that out. I love it. So thank you for doing that, and thanks for being on the show tonight.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So to all the viewers out there, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.
Night.